Thank you, Madam Chairman, members of the committee, and Mr. Roberts for his attendance this afternoon. My name is Jere White, and I am the Executive Director of the Kansas Corn Growers Association, and I also do that role for Kansas Grain Sorghum as well. And I appear today as Chairman of the Atrazine Network, and the Atrazine Network is merely a coalition of agricultural groups, but one that represents over 30 crops grown in over 40 states. Those crops include corn, citrus, tree fruit, sorghum, vegetables, grapes, sugarcane, macadamia nuts. If it's grown, there's a chance that it's touched by our organization. Atrazine is a herbicide that American farmers have used for weed control for more than 50 years. It's been found to be safe by the governments of Great Britain, Australia, and many other countries, including the US EPA. This morning I learned that the World Health Organization has adopted a new water quality standard, a drinking water quality standard, and that new standard is over 33 times the current US standard. 33 times. Atrazine is one of the most studied molecules on Earth. On multiple occasions over the past decade, EPA has declared the product safe after rigorous scientific review using the highest quality data, and even as recently as last July. However, within weeks of last summer's positive report posted on their website, something happened, something that undermined all this deliberation, all this science. By the end of August of last year, a raft of spurious ecological epidemiology studies began to appear. They were promoted by trial attorneys, advanced by environmental groups with anti-agricultural agendas, and their well-heeled PR advisors, and certainly picked up and ran by as scare articles in the New York Times and also the Huffington Post. Trial lawyers joined forces with environmental activists and sought to regulate through the courts what science could not support within the EPA regulatory process way back in 2004. For instance, the EPA began to make their determination that atrazine was safe to continue to use in an interim registration decision that was published in 2003. The first trial lawyer lawsuit was filed in Illinois in 2004. But this is a different game now, and last fall they found the EPA very receptive to take the bait. Media frenzy prompted EPA to announce the new comprehensive scientific re-review of atrazine with a breakneck pace of 4 SAPs between November of 2009 and just simply 2 weeks ago. 2 more are scheduled quickly to follow in 2011. Amazingly, EPA actually cited the media and activists' reports for reopening a scientific review process they just put to rest. EPA was not scheduled to review atrazine again until 2013 as part of their scheduled review of all pesticides. In February, an SAP considered the very studies EPA referenced to initiate this rushed re-review of atrazine. Scientists at SAP concluded that the overall quality of these studies was relatively low, and certainly had the agency followed its own process of internal data evaluation prior to taking it to an SAP, it would have known that the studies were not useful in a regulatory process. This is just one way in which the agency's rushed re-review does not align with the processes that have, up until now, confirmed the EPA's reliance on the best quality data available. Growers and associations that have provided comments and support for atrazine are now being targeted by the activist trial attorneys. Subpoenas are being issued for massive, expensive, and time-consuming production of records unrelated to any litigation. We are being harassed, even bullied, for daring to defend ourselves. The message is clear. If you stand up for atrazine, you best be prepared to pay a price. I testified in support of atrazine at last week's SAP, sharing our concerns over trial attorney harassment of stakeholders as part of my comments. The very next day, activist attorneys sought and obtained subpoenas against Kansas Corn, Kansas Grain Sorghum, and me personally. These subpoenas, not only do they intend to come into my offices on the 30th without any prior discussion whether my office might be available, they require me to be in Garnett, Kansas on the 30th at 10 o'clock, as well as Olathe, Kansas on the 30th at 10 o'clock, depending on which hat I'm wearing, I guess, that day. Fortunately, I'll be in the Ukraine on the 30th at 10 o'clock. Most farmers live next to their fields. They raise their children in these environments, and if there was any real harm in atrazine, the American farmer would have been the first to notice and certainly the first to care. They value atrazine because it is effective and it's safe, and that's why well over half of U.S. corn, 2/3 of sorghum, and about 90% of sugarcane is protected from weeds by the use of atrazine. For the farmer, however, atrazine is not a matter of politics. It is a matter of staying in business in what is still a rough economy. EPA estimated in 2006 that atrazine provides a $28 per acre benefit for corn. And while significant, we believe that that number is actually much larger today. While environmental activists demonize atrazine, farmers know that atrazine enables an enormously productive benefit for the environment called conservation tillage. In 2008, for example, 64% of atrazine used in corn supported conservation agriculture, practices that help sequester carbon, reduce fuel consumption, and improve a farm's overall carbon footprint, as well as reduce soil erosion. I realize that members of this distinguished body have many important issues before you today. EPA's treatment of atrazine may not sound like a high priority, but it is a matter of great importance to the farm economy. EPA at the highest levels needs to provide guidance to ensure that years of scientific review conducted under both Republican and Democratic administrations is not undermined. In addition, I believe our elected agricultural leaders must help EPA to understand the implications of their failure to do so. Thank you.